I personally believe, I find it, the whole inequality and whole perception about one being inferior to the other is so bizarre for me to come to terms with. You know, I just can't understand it. And the law of universal equality somewhere just makes me look like a because I believe in that, it makes me look like a feminist. But I mean, I honestly, I just feel that feminism is something which is very, it's a sorry state to be in for any society, you know, because you're lacking something. You're lacking something, and feminism is acting as a medicine to that sort of illness or disease. We should not have it. We should not have it at all. We should not have feminists. We should not have these, sort of techniques, or we should be a healthy society. We should believe in equality, and that's how it is. And there is nothing that can prove it otherwise. So it's bizarre that people actually believe that, you know, one section of society is lesser than the other. Yeah, so I definitely don't hate men. You are a friend for so long, and I have, I have amazing set of friends, and you'll be shocked, most of them are men.
Super. Well done, Kangana. Do we have time for questions? Yes? Couple of questions, please. At the back.
So, thank you. Kangana, you have been called as one of the most fashionable icon the actresses Bollywood has got, and still you are so much vocal to your thoughts, to your views, be it any topic, be it nepotism, be it the casteism, and be it the religious fanatism. So what makes you go up with such kind of views, and is that the way that you are being like, selecting the movies which just throws a views about you that you are a feminist person, and that just depicts that you are a strong woman?
So movies are completely different. Like a person's, an individual's choices or voice should not be affected by their profession. Like movies should not determine, or my profession should not determine my voice as an individual. I am, like, first and foremost the citizen of this country. I'm a woman. I'm an individual. So my films should not determine, like my career should not determine if I'm an engineer or doctor or an actor. It should not determine what I feel about this current, state of events, or myself, my past, my present. It should be a free voice, free as in free of all the baggage. That's what I try. And my films, whatever I do, my first interview that went completely viral and still the most watched interview is pre-Queen with in 2013 with Anupama Chopra. So I always had, and I made sure that no matter if I'm a successful actor or not so successful, but I want to be a successful human being. I want to be a successful person, and that's, my profession is not going to determine that.
And just one more, Kangana, there is a huge number of trawlers these days who just go on trawling and just go to any limits. So do you just, does this affect your work and affect your choice of films?
Trolls.
Yeah, trawlers who just go up in the social media.
No, I'm not on social media, and I definitely don't go through all the trolling that I might be getting.
Do you secretly go though to check what people are saying online?
No.
Come on.
No, it's very upsetting. It's very upsetting. Sometimes I get these feedback from my digital team. Some of them is so upsetting, it can scar you for life. You don't want to go through that. Thank you.
फिल्म पूरी जिसमें फिल्म के जो डायलॉग्स हैं वो बहुत अच्छे हैं. मैं चाहूँगा कि आपका पसंदीदा डायलॉग कौन सा है और क्यों?
मेरा पसंदीदा डायलॉग वैसे तो काफ़ी हैं, लेकिन मुझे सबसे अच्छा वो लगता है कि जब प्रफुल्ल उसे कहती है कि किसी को जानना चाहिए, पहचानना चाहिए, तो कहता है इंसान को कभी अच्छे से समझा नहीं जा सकता, बदलते रहना ही इंसान की फितरत है. रिश्तों को समझा नहीं, सिर्फ निभाया जाता है. सो आई हैव रिटन दोज लाइन्स एंड आई रियली लाइक इट.
कंगना कंगना आपके सामने 18 सितंबर को शबाना आजमी जी का जन्मदिन है, तो कुछ विश करना चाहेंगे उनको?
अरे यार।
बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं उनको जन्मदिन की।
आप कभी उनको फॉलो?
Yeah, guys.
क्या चीज?
Oh.
ये तो यहाँ पे ओपन ट्रोलिंग हो गई।
कंगना, आपने कभी उनको फॉलो किया है?
किसको?
शबाना आजमी जी।
मैं हुई नहीं ट्विटर पे।
ट्विटर पे नहीं,
हाँ।
ऐसे पर्सनल लाइफ में एक्टिंग के
Yeah,
मामले में।
let's ask genuine questions. It's turning into a press conference. From delegates,
here.
from people who
Here,
come
hi.
for the cinema. Yeah, sure.
Kangana, we saw Simran today. Very nice movie, great work. Okay, गैंगस्टर की बात की आपने कहा बहुत ही ज़्यादा मेहनत की थी आपने. But आदित्य पंचोली का कहना है कि उनकी वजह से आपको ये फिल्म मिली. कुछ कहना चाहिए?
I think we have spoken enough about it, and there is nothing that I can only repeat
Yeah, well,
things here, so you can Google it and find out.
we were
Hi,
told
Kangana,
before the
there's a question
session
over
started that Kangana will be dropping quite a few bombs, N-bomb, H-bomb, A-bomb, you know, quite a few of them. I'm glad we're stuck to the future of the heroine, which is the overall summit theme, which is the future of film.
Okay,
hi,
thank you
there's a
guys.
question
Thank you
over here.
everyone.
Thank you very much, Kangana. It's a big day for you, and I hope you do really well. Thank you. Cheers. I will check it out in the evening. Thank you. That comes to Mumbai on September 18th. Guys, please register for the festival. It's on from 18th to 24th. Coming back to the summit though, I could not think of anyone better than the lady in the house to kickstart this for a couple of reasons. One is that you're, of course, the present of heroine. And of course, we'll look at the future of the heroine. But as an actor, you've actually looked very closely at also the history of the heroine. Your last role, Kangana, as Julia, was a Bollywood star of the 1940s. While researching for that character, what did you come across in terms of finding the position of the role of the women in the film industry, in the Mumbai film industry in the 1940s? What was it like then?
First of all, thank you, Mayank sir. Thank you for inviting me for this. It's extremely prestigious platform to be at, and to have Shekhar sir here. He's a very dear friend, and my favorite filmmaker. It's been a wonderful day so far. So yeah, coming to Julia, to my surprise, when I was doing my research on that character, I was taken aback that there was a lot more acceptance for, a feisty character, like a woman fighter, like a woman stunt, and she was one big woman, used to wear shorts and carry two men on her shoulders and ride a horse, and a stunt woman in those days, and people were okay with that. People were okay with, that sort of acceptance of a woman's, like a fierce persona. And I think we just, instead of going upwards from that, our cinema and the perception of women somewhere started to descend. And where we are today, action is pretty much just to, delve into the beautiful physical appearance of a woman, or to make them look sexy, but that was serious action, like Julia, the character was inspired from was from many stunt women in those days who did their own action, and they were not like, it wasn't a comedy that they were beating up men in. They're like serious action films. They were the saviors, they were the superheroes, they were the women who were in love stories were saving the men they were in love with, and they were all serious films, they were not comedies. So I think somewhere, that growth didn't go into the right direction. Of course, Julia's story, her personal life was a reflection of how women has been, in the past, and her need to have a surname and her need to have a social security, in terms of acceptance of a man and a lover. I think that's quite prevalent even today. So yeah, that's what I learned from that character.
But Kangana, the fact is also that if you go back in history, the first heroine in Hindi cinema, or Indian cinema as it were, was actually a man. Anna Salunke was a man who played the first heroine in Raja Harishchandra, the first Indian film. Now, back then, and you need to tell me a little bit about the 40s because you would have researched that part of history, people from respectable families, so to say, did not send their daughters to work in cinema. Do you think that's changed a lot?
Of course. I think in those days, women were very protected. I mean, according to the feudal mindset, protected means confine them to the four wall of the house or the veil or, other sort of the physical layers of maybe clothing or culture, but not the real protection that I'm talking about. So yeah, I think women were confined to very strict, especially the ones who came from so-called, good families and good backgrounds. So that's true that there was a certain section, and it was not considered, even in my family, when I was pursuing acting, it was not looked at something which is respectable or what I depicted, in the film in terms of, I remember my mom telling me that, I asked her, I said, how did you like Gangster? And she's like, I loved it, but your dad is not very happy. And I'm like, why is he not happy about it? He's like, maybe there's a lot of, so depiction of passion or backlash. So it was very upsetting for my family. But I remember Shekhar sir coming and on Metro set, he told me how beautifully he expressed his almost awe for the shot that I remember where my gun was on my head, and Shekhar sir said that the most beautiful thing that I've seen, that the emotion from fear to acceptance, is so beautiful, Kangana, and at this young age you depicted that is so beautiful. And I'm like, I mean, my family would never feel that way for me ever, because all they see is that there was a backless shot in the film. So yeah, I think that it's difficult to rise above that mentality. It's difficult being a woman or an actress to to rise above the sexuality. I mean, as much we would want to be an ideal world and all of that, but it
Sure.
does delve in our minds.
Right. But if there was a young girl in a village in Himachal right now, in 2017, how difficult or how easy would it be for that person to come to Bombay and make it movies? Would you be that inspiration for that person? Would you personally advise that person to do it? Or would they be actually scared of a lot of the stories that you've actually revealed in the past few weeks in terms of what you went through?
Yeah, see, Mayank sir, this is a conscious effort that I make to tell the brighter side and the darker side, because I don't want to give a very hunky-dory picture of my life. It's very easy to portray a fairy tale and to make yourself the center of the world and to portray yourself larger than life and almost the God's favorite child. It's very heartbreaking to actually put the real picture out there and be like, I don't know if I've been really lucky or really unfortunate, but that is your depiction or your perspective, but this is how it is. And if tomorrow you want to walk the same path, know that you might or might not make it. So it's good to have that approach, because I really don't have any method to
Right.
my journey. I don't know if like it's hard to tell how exactly I made it. People sometimes ask me that, where did you get so much strength from? It's not just strength. Sometimes, there were incidences that I don't know how I just made it through those, series of events. So I can just, in my place, I can just be very honest and mentally prepare everyone that this is how it is. It's as magical as it can get, but at the same time, I think magic comes with its little bit price tag, which is sometimes you might not want to pay. So yeah, this is how it is for me, at least.
And you were the extreme outsider, as it were. And since we're looking at also the past of the heroine while discussing the future, and you've spoken a lot in the past also about star system and the dynasty that follows. But the fact is, when you talk about dynasties, I'm not using the N word, I haven't yet. When you talk about dynasties, the lineage has traditionally in Bollywood been between the father and the son. So the father is a producer, the son could be a star. The father is a star, the son could be a producer. For decades on end, and up until a couple of decades ago, or perhaps a decade ago, people from film families did not send their daughters or their wives to work in the movies. One, what does that mean in terms of why do you think that was the case? Because all the heroines mostly have been outsiders in that sense. Why do you think they chose not to do it?
It's something very hurtful, and it's something very, if I say in a very upfront way, it might just made very severe headlines. So I try and be
Go for it, Kangana.
I try and be as, I'd say as soft I can be. But I think it comes from the deep-rooted patriarchal mindset where, the way one treats a woman and the way one sees a woman, it reflects in his relationship with his daughter or his wife. And, like in the world of glamour and the world of opportunities, we all know that, being in this, amazing, it's almost like a fantasy land. It's almost like to be in a film business or to be in any show business for that matter is, it's full of magic, it's full of epiphanies, it's full of creativity, neurotic artists and opportunities, and above everything, it's full of that magic which overnight changes everything and makes life, turns ordinary into extraordinary, extraordinary into fantastic, and fantastic into tragic. It has that extraordinary power to it. So yes, it's a land of opportunities, and you meet people, and you have these endless opportunities. But when we see a man do that, we don't find anything wrong in this. To have multiple opportunities, to be a millionaire, have multiple mating partners, and so just go about living your life like a maverick. But when it comes to a woman, there's a strong sense of guilt that comes along with it. For a man, it's unbelievable, that how a man perceives his own, sexual life and the woman that maybe he's dating or are, I think it's always assumed that sex for a woman is actually something of, a kind of tragic for them, right? So I think, is there a brawl outside? Okay, sorry, I got distracted. So I think I know a lot of people who, who are being very protective of their women, and it's all about keeping them away from a lot of a lot of men or opportunities or glamour, because why? They're going to get swayed with it, they're going to have affairs, and men are going to treat them badly. Basically, men are going to have sex with them. So having sex for a man is something which is about having fun and living a good life. But for a woman, it's something which is, like doing some sort of, like a bad thing to them. So that is how a man perceives, the life in glamour world. They openly say this, that when it's an affair of their son, you will hear so many men brag about it, you know, that my son is this, you know, is this
The Casanova.
Casanova, and what will he do in his youth, you know, and if not have these multiple affairs. They openly talk about it, but when it comes to their girls, you know, there are restrictions, and they flaunt that. How dare my girl is going to date anyone? How dare my girl is getting into films, and people are going to see her wear mini skirts, and these are these petty reasons. I mean, I wouldn't want to, I wish it was anything else, but these are the petty reasons that my girl is going to wear bikini, but I don't mind having 15 bikini-clad women around me or my son. It's as petty as it is. I mean, it sounds stupid, but you can have so many, you know, like you would know, there's so many examples of that, and they're quite open about it, and they feel it's very manly to have these kind of values, not really values, but these sort of feudal ideologies, and to flaunt it like that. And it's making our society even more regressive, even more feudal and chauvinistic, you know, these sort of, and it does stem out of it, that, you know, like a great family of, you know, like this film business, son will make, and this happens in many smaller industries as well. It's a common fact that, I don't want to name superstars because I'm not sure, but someone's daughter decided to be an actress and fans committed suicide. Fans committed suicide. And the son is, of course, is the reigning superstar, but the daughter decided.
Fans committing suicide would have to be south of India, no?
Yes, south of India.
Sure.
Yeah. So they committed suicide, that the daughter of the house will wear a mini skirt. How would that happen, and how is that even possible? So this is the psyche of our you know, culture, and this is how the masses. This is what a woman is, just an object, and it's very unfortunate that, you know, there is that's all, you know.
But you see that changing though, because from like the early 2000s onwards, you do see a lot of women from film families actually entering films. And so do you think the film industry has changed? Do you think the psyche of those families have changed? What do you think has led to that change?
Well, I think most probably the society in itself, you know. I think initially, to begin with, our cinema was extremely premature, and the way, exactly, you know, the way the industry was, it wasn't, you know, this sort of you know, flourishing business proposition. But how it became, I think, more progressive, more people decided to, you know, sort of get into it, and that's how films have come a long way, right? They have come from being very primitive to fairly, you know, I'll say we are not yet there, and I'm not sure if we will ever be, but yeah, but we have come.
You mean less shady people in the films?
Sorry?
Less shady people in the movies also?
Well, see, also film business has many levels to it, right? Like there are all kind of cinemas.
Right.
There are, so I can't really guarantee that.
Sure.
But it's definitely, I don't think, like, you know, it's definitely a business where a lot of people, educated people, and yeah, and the ones who are, you know, who are sort of, who understand the business for what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the other diktat when it comes to the heroine in Bollywood, Kangana, has always been that marriage was always seen as a retirement plan. The reason you get married is because you're done with show business, because that's a, you know, one-way street. And of course, a lot of them actually made comebacks much later, but a lot of water had flown under the bridge. Do you see that? Because in fact, you yourself, at some level, have been a huge beneficiary of that. Your first film, Gangster, Chitrangada Singh was supposed to play that part right until the end. Then she gets married. Then the husband says, you will not work in movies. So there's a slot ready. You have a week to go. You get a passport, and you get your debut film. You've actually benefited from that. Do you think that tag of being a married person and therefore losing out on so-called fan base, because this was also true for male stars back in the day. Govinda hid the fact that he was married. I think even Amar hid the fact that he was married when he entered films. Do you think that's finally going though? And it's about the artist?
Of course, I think a lot has changed, you know, from those days where people really cared about someone's marital status or, someone's age. A lot has changed for that matter. So, yeah, I don't think it's of any consequence anymore. But there is definitely a section of the society who is, who do, like an older woman is always, referred to as this, like there's always mocking women for being older, and when you're young, you're mocked for being young.
Sure.
So that's there, but it has definitely changed, and we can see the change around us. But I think just for last few years, 4-5 years, and before that, I think many women were just forced to leave the industry, even though they looked the same, even though there was no change in their appearance, but they were just not accepted anymore.
Right, because earlier in the year, I think it was around January, you announced that you're going to get married this year. It's what, 2 months or 3 months left? Yeah. Like, will you be getting invitation cards soon?
Yeah, most definitely.
Really? You actually getting married in the next 3 months?
We'll talk about that at some other time.
We'll talk about your career, Kangana. We started with Gangster, of course. But I have an interesting story with regards to you. And this is, I think, 2012. You'd invited me to your birthday party. I don't know if you remember. This was in...
Of course, I remember.
In Olive, in Bandra. Very sober affair, very nicely done, friends, some media people. And it was what you would call a small birthday party, as birthday parties should be. Then 2014, Queen happens. Thank you for not inviting me to your birthday party that year. But I saw the pictures, and absolutely the entire Bollywood A-list was lined up outside your house, Amitabh Bachchan onwards. That's how things turn in show business. What does something like that teach you about the world in general and showbiz in particular?
Like I said, Mayank, there is a fantastic quality to this world, when especially the field of art. It can make you, these extreme circumstances sometimes can make you a bit, it's a bit unsettling,
Sure.
To go from one extreme to the other. And once if you've sort of tasted that sort of shift, it's very hard to come back to the ordinariness of life,
Right.
So that's true. And I don't know if I am a recipient of that sort of, magic and that sort of, shift, or I am a victim of it. Because you never know. Because sometimes it just feels that it hits you so suddenly that you're just never ready for it.
Right.
So whether it's long, never-ending struggle, and then the extreme success of being in a film which has, in a way, changed a lot of things in the industry, not just in your life. So yeah, these kind of extreme circumstances can be very hard to deal with.
Can fame be a drug, though? Something that you would crave if you didn't find it?
Well, to my surprise, what happens is when success, success often, comes when you stop to hope for it.
Really?
Or you don't, yeah. When you're not anticipating it, and it hits you like something has, hit you in your head, and very hard to come to terms with it.
Right.
And the initial reaction is of rejection. You don't want to accept it because you don't know what to do with it. And by the time you get used to it, it's gone.
No, what is fascinating about you, Kangana, is that you finish a film like Queen, and the first thing you do is apply for a student's visa. And then you move to the US to study screenwriting in New York. Why would you do that? I have two, possible multiple choice answers for you. One, is it the fact that your career will be much longer regardless of what roles you get if you're a filmmaker, because you can continue to express yourself and not wait for someone to offer you a role. Or second, you actually wanted to collaborate in the process itself while being an actor and to actually learn the craft.
I think both are the same things,
Sure.
aren't they? I wanted to be more collaborative because, being in Queen and to have that kind of freedom. Also, Queen came from a very pure space because Vikas sir had not directed any film before, and Phantom's first film is, like new production house. So they did, like I said, they were not thirsty or hungry for success. They were making a film like
For the right
doesn't,
reasons.
yeah, like it doesn't matter whatever the fate of the film is. So the kind of lightness and the kind of environment I collaborated in, I got addicted to it,
Right.
and I felt, hi Vic. So, and I felt, like I should know the technicalities of this world, because I felt a bit amateur,
Sure.
to be among professionals, and wanted to express myself, and I had no accurate words, or I could not place my thoughts properly because I didn't have any formal education. So that's why I did that.
And did you overlearn at some point where people are like, hey, like, don't teach me. I know my filmmaking. Is that happening to you?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think it's there are no rules.
Sure.
When you go to a set, it can become, everyone's very vulnerable. Why? Because we know that no matter how good a script is, it can always be a trashy film. And no matter how trashy a film is, it can always be a blockbuster. And no matter how big a blockbuster it is, it might just be the most embarrassing film of the year. So, there is a lot of uncertainty that comes with
Right.
this business. And for anyone to say that, hey, I know everything, is an idiot around, And all you can do is just be tentative. And in that tentative environment, to find your ground and to just know whether into which direction to go, it takes a lot of faith in each other.
Right.
And that's exactly what people lack when they're nervous. And it can, this business is such, it can be very demanding, and when you're nervous, you don't have faith in yourself, forget having faith in anyone else. So I think it is very hard. It's very hard to collaborate. And like I said, there's no formula to it. If we were making cars or packing water or doing anything else, like I would say that, oh, hey, this is how it's done, and this is how it's been happening for past these many years, and this is the formula if you're making a drug, But to this, there's no formula. So, and also everyone is waiting for that something to happen, that some sort of magic, some sort of blessing to fall from somewhere, and you don't know from who it'll come from, So there is always that search of that sort of, epiphany. Sometimes it is bestowed upon you, and sometimes it's not, and you don't know why it happens and why it doesn't. So it's a weird world to be in.
But can being the sole female protagonist be a formula? Is it true that you've turned down various roles because you're not the sole female protagonist, or sole protagonist, as it were, in the film? Is it true about Sultan, for instance, that you said no because that was a Salman Khan film? Is it true, and this has been reported, you'll have to confirm this or deny, of course, that you said no to Thugs of Hindustan that stars Amir Khan and Amitabh Bachchan? Now, a film like, say, for instance, Sultan, that's going to travel a wide distance. You will be viewed by a lot more people. Why would you not take that as an opportunity?
Well, see, what happens is, in today's time, I am going to go for something which is going to stimulate my mind, because otherwise I am going to be just sleepwalking through the film. Like I said, like Sultan at that point of time, though it was a great character for a girl to play, but I did not see, anything for me in that. And coming from like a double role space and doing so much more in my earlier films, I felt, why would I demote myself to, something which is not offering me so much? So that's why I didn't do it. And Thugs, no, I was never offered. I don't even know what the script is.
Like, speaking of your double role, Kangana, thank you very much for Tanu Weds Manu 2. We were going through exactly how you approach a character. And in one of the interviews you've said is that what you do is you look at the person in terms of the character that you play, and you give that person one characteristic trait, one word, and that's how you move forward. And so Datto was supposed to be, from Tanu Weds Manu, 2 was supposed to be swag.
Yeah.
Julia was supposed to be needy.
Needy, yeah.
You're a character yourself. If you were to describe yourself in one word, what would that be?
Oh my God. One word. Well, brave.
Thanks. Well done. I mean, you would have to be brave, Kangana. The past few weeks, you've been on a serious Rani of Jhansi mode from all the interviews that we've watched of yours. And that's your next film. That's the movie that you're currently working on. How's that coming along? You got hurt on the sets as well?
Oh yeah, I had a big cut on my head. I almost lost my eyes. Thank you, Nihar Pandey, who missed his cue and hit me on the wrong cue. And he keeps telling me, "Do you think I did it on purpose?" I said, "I don't know. I really don't." And he's like, "You're mean." So these things happen, but yeah, I got saved, and I'm very happy about that. And also that character. Yes, I think somewhere a character that you play, it does affect you and your life and the way you think. You know, the what a character can expose. You know, you like. I remember when I played a cancer patient, I was suddenly exposed to my own mortality as a human being. Yeah.
Yes.
As a human being, and since then I've never been the same. So a character can be extremely cathartic for you as well. So